and welcome to the Actual Tech Media EcoCast. My name is Jess, and I am excited to be here with you all today. But before we jump into our content, I have some basic information that I want to cover with you. All right, let's kick off our day here today by taking a quick tour of your audience console. And we're going to start with the questions window. So if you haven't already said hi, there is a whole audience of cool humans out there, so reach out and give a wave to the other members of the Actual Tech Media community. Now, keep in mind that if you do have any technical issues today, a browser refresh is going to fix just about anything. But if those tech gremlins are clinging on today, no problem. Just throw a comment in the question section and our crew will be there to help. We also want this to be an informative webinar for you, so throughout today's EcoCast, we hope you'll get engaged and ask all your burning questions. Not only will we have team members responding to you over a live chat, we will also have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of our presentations. Now, if we don't get to your question during the live webinar today, don't worry, because the awesome experts that we have here with us will be following up after we wrap. All right, next up, there's going to be lots of cool aha moments on the EcoCast today. And if you want to share those with your community, we've made it nice and easy for you. You can use the Twitter button right there in your audience console, and the hashtag for today's EcoCast will be automatically added to your post. All right, our last stop on this guided tour, be sure to check out the handouts tab for some awesome resources and takeaways from our speakers here today. We have an info pack collection, solution briefs, white papers, data sheets, free trials, ebooks, upcoming webinars, and more. So many great resources, so be sure to go explore. Now, if that wasn't enough fun, we also have some exciting prizes that we'll be giving away throughout today's EcoCast. I'm going to tell you a bit more about those later on, but a few quick reminders for you all. First, you do need to be here live in attendance at the EcoCast in order to qualify to win a prize, and we will follow up with all of you after we wrap. Now, all winners must submit an IRS Form W-9 to Actual Tech Media, and all winners must meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. Now, if you don't know what those full T's and C's are, that's fine. We've got the full thing for you. Just head on over to that handouts tab, click in, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll find them waiting for you there. Now, the absolute most important thing to remember is that we love getting all your insightful questions during these live webinars. In fact, we love it so much that we actually have a special additional prize for all you inquisitive folks out there. So in today's EcoCast, we will be giving away a prize for the best question asked in each of our live sessions. Now, the expert speakers and teams will review all questions asked after we wrap the webinar, which means that even if your question does not get read out in a live session, there is still a chance to win. If you are a lucky winner here today and you would like to donate the value of your prize, we have several wonderful organizations that we partner with. So let us know when we follow up about your big win, and we'll get that rolling for you. Again, we are so happy to have you all here with us live at the EcoCast today, and we want to keep that good feeling going, so let's connect on social media. Reach out and connect with Actual Tech Media on Twitter and on LinkedIn. We have lots of great content, and we always want to hear from you. Now, if you're looking for more awesome content and resources right after we wrap the EcoCast today, be sure to subscribe to the Actual Tech Media channel on YouTube. Another fun way to win a prize and, hey, grow this awesome community is to refer an industry friend or a coworker to the Actual Tech Media webinar series. Now, you'll find a link to do that right in your handouts tab, and you will also be automatically redirected at the end of the webinar. And both you and your coworker or friend could win a prize, and we hold those drawings every month. So be sure to refer a friend because, hey, it could quite literally be a win-win situation. Next, we have a cool opportunity for all the decision makers out there to get connected with new and emerging tech and innovative vendors. Here's how it works. All you need to do is click on the link in your handouts tab, fill out a quick application, and the Actual Tech crew will then match you with some vendors that we think you should probably be chatting with based on your needs. There will also be fun opportunities that you get to choose to join in, like surveys, test runs, new solutions, extended demos, and so on. You'll get some chances to win extra prizes, you'll chat with great people, and you'll learn about the hottest new trends in tech. So be sure to apply, or hey, send that link to a decision maker on your team. Now, I want to take a quick minute here to remind you all about one of my favorite resources, and that is ransomware.org. You can find out everything you need to know about ransomware, how to prepare, prevent, and recover. This site is jam-packed with information, helpful tips, checklists, strategic approaches, case studies, everything you need in one place. So wherever you are in your ransomware preparedness journey, there is something for you at ransomware.org. Go check it out and start exploring. All right, I have one more exciting resource I have to tell you about today, and that is the Gorilla Guide Book Club. It's going to give you access to free enterprise IT books authored by top industry experts, so you can stay up to date on trending enterprise technology. And yes, these books will work on your Kindle, your mobile device, and as I said, they are completely free. You can download these awesome resources at gorilla.guide, and there's a link for you in that handouts tab as well. All right, well, we have covered a lot of important things already, and I don't know about you all, but I am excited to dive in. So let's get going.
Righty, hello and welcome, folks. It is time to dive in on today's topic, the power of data, enabling automation and operational efficiencies. With more data at our disposal every day and with the obvious value it carries, we should make decisions using the data we're collecting. In today's fast-paced business environment, leveraging data to drive automation and operational efficiencies is crucial for staying competitive. So how does one begin to leverage their organization's data to get a leg up on the competition? Well, luckily, we have expert advice coming your way on today's EcoCast to achieve just that. My name is Mackenzie Puddesy, and I am a moderator here at Actual Tech Media, and I've got my friends and fellow moderators Jess Steinbach, Scott Becker, and Keith Ward here on live chat with us today. If it's your first EcoCast with me, it is great to meet you, and I thank you for being here. It is gonna be good. Now, I have got something more for you today than incredibly valuable information. I've also got some prizes. Today on the EcoCast, you could win one of three $300 Amazon gift cards. We'll be giving them away to 3 lucky winners who are here, present, and live with us at the EcoCast. And as mentioned in the housekeeping video this morning, you can find the full T's and C's linked in the handouts tab if you have any questions about that. And hey, with that last little thing, I believe we are ready to rock. To kick things off in style, I am happy to announce we have the fabulous Joey D'Antoni, VMware vExpert and Microsoft Data Platform MVP. He's going to be setting the stage for today's conversation with a keynote presentation. And Joey, well, it is great to have you back on the EcoCast. I'm looking forward to what you have to say. So why don't you go ahead and kick things off for us? Take it away, Joey.
Hi, I'm Joey D'Antoni, and welcome to the Power of Data, enabling automation and operational efficiencies. You hear a lot in the technical news about AI and the various things that it drives and can drive in organizational dynamics. However, if we fall back to a little bit older technology and just taking advantage of some of the data we have without necessarily using the processor-intensive needs of generative AI, you can enable automation in your business, whether that's technology, sales, marketing, all sorts of business applications that's based on live and streaming data and even backwards-facing data to help you gain those operational efficiencies. And in this talk, we're going to talk a lot about how you can take advantage of data, what you need to do to take advantage of that data, and how you can use it to deliver stronger business outcomes. One of the things I think, and I saw this on LinkedIn last week, that all these companies want to do AI and they can barely do BI. And if you don't know what the term BI means, it typically means business intelligence in the parlance of data professionals. And that's something we kind of look at as a foundational thing in an organization. If an organization can't, identify what its sales by products, by store, by color in the last month were, they're going to struggle to have good enough data quality to do AI. Automation works a little bit the same way, but the difference is we have a lot of tools where we can do automation without doing the same level of heavy compute and heavy expense that is commonly associated with some of these generative AI processes. And these data-driven systems, and whether this be Internet of Things devices, if you're in a manufacturing industry, data center automation around automatically deploying and resizing workloads, maybe in a cloud to better meet customer needs, or systems monitoring that can adapt. These are all just basic examples of things that can allow for smarter business operations. It's really important not to confuse generative AI because the industry is labeling all sorts of things with the term AI right now. And I think I ride an AI-supported bicycle, but it's not everything is AI. And the other thing to remember is that we have these things called expert systems. It's a much older term where we have just a data-driven system that can be a lot easier for you to implement. A really simple example of this, and it's kind of a classic thing we talk about in IoT stories, is let's say you have an airplane company and you want to know when your plane's engine gets above a certain temperature and you want to alert someone on that. You can have just a constant stream of that data, and then if 2 or 3 values that are above the mean temperature that you want that engine to live in, you can create some kind of alert, and maybe you can send a work item to a mechanic so that when that plane hits the ground, that engine can be inspected. This is a real basic example of an automation system, and we'll talk about some more in the next slide. But these things are there. You have the data. You can probably, build some workflows using some pretty basic tools that are available, whether it be in a cloud or maybe in some open source packages that are available to your software development team. Frequently, these are things that can be developed in a low code fashion. So you can have a very low cost of entry that can drive excellent business value. And let's talk about some more examples here on the next slide. And these are some I've worked with customers where we have dynamic things. One of the examples is scaling cloud resources based on utilization. And this may sound kind of basic, and there are some cloud resources that will scale automatically for you just based on your usage. However, if you know what your workloads are like and they're somewhat predictable, or you want to have more granular control, you can scale those resources based on utilization. And more importantly, you can scale them back in. So you can scale to meet those needs while maintaining your cost. The one I just mentioned, firing alerts based on the running temperature of a device. This can be as simple as car, barbecue, plane engines, things we talk about. This is just a good IoT / telemetry kind of thing. And also, you can use the running temperature of a device being a proxy for really anything, because if you're running a software as a service application, you can monitor for usage and seeing sudden changes in daily usage by your users. Adapting sales resources based on live metrics. This can be human sales resources. You might want to, send more sales reps to accounts that are using your service more if you're looking at a service. If you have regionalized sales resources, if you're looking at sales data coming in at real time, you may want to allocate more resources to a specific region as those things are happening. And then finally, this is one I worked with a credit union. Identifying and limiting customer churn based on signals data. So you start to look for signals in your data, and this is kind of a machine learning bit of functionality that I've seen customers use, where they'll look for these signals and identify the key data that they want to look at. And with that, they'll identify those customers. And if they're considered to be high value customers, they may put extra emphasis on maintaining and keeping those customers based on those churn signals. Automating the monitoring and data analytics platform streamlines and optimizes the task and processes that you associate with managing, analyzing, and visualizing data. So you have to do this correctly. And one of the important things is getting your data correct. And this means you need to have really good data engineering processes. That means data ingestion, data transformation, data modeling, and finally, data visualization. These are really the skills that make up data analytics. The first 3 kind of being the core elements of that data engineering. This helps you scale your analytics capacities and make sure you're making decisions based on quality data. You also need to understand what external sources you need to have. So you might be getting data from internal sources like CRM databases or internet relationship planning databases that can tell you what you're selling. But you may want to pull in external signals like data from social media, mentions, all sorts of things that may influence your sales from the outside or cause those changes that you're not necessarily seeing just from your internal data. Finally, you want to identify the patterns and features of the data that matter. And this is where you're looking, and this is where your data science team works with your business team. Because typically, your business team is going to have a theory as to what's driving something, and your data science team is going to help you be able to prove that theory in or out. So important things to understand there. When we talk about successfully deploying data-driven automation, businesses look for lots of opportunities to modernize and automate their processes using these tools. But the first, the meaningful strategy. So the first step is to have clear objectives. You should be aligned with the organization's business strategy, and these goals should be specific and measurable. Having a scoring methodology that can help you rate opportunities for automation based on business impact can help you optimize your ongoing backlog to automate these sorts of processes. You want to identify your data sources. You need to identify quality data sources, internal and external, like customer data, transaction data, social media, and sensor data that are going to drive your automation processes. You also want to ensure that your data quality is good. You want relevant, accurate, complete, and current data. The organizations, not the IT organizations, need to define the data criteria and then evaluate the data sources to make sure they meet this criteria. Your data engineering team will help you find erroneous records like duplicates and standardizing date formats. But having data governance around this can really help you drive this automation. You want to select appropriate techniques for analyzing your data, whether this be machine learning, robotic process automation, making sure it aligns to your business objectives, having the right people, as always, that's a key thing. And then finally, monitoring and optimizing your pipelines. After your pipelines have been implemented, you need to understand how they're working, and you may need to make adjustments to your algorithms, update data sources, or refine your business processes. Data-driven automation is a necessity. It's a hallmark of modern business, and when it's done correctly, it can provide significant benefits to your organization, reduce cost, freeing employees to work on more strategic tasks instead of just monitoring stuff. In short, data-driven automation is no longer a luxury for modern organizations. You're falling behind your customers if you're not using it. Having a telemetry stream of your business data provides you with important benefits, helps you have better security, understanding, allows you to react faster from both a business and a sales perspective. Data quality, as always, is the most important component here, but having pipelines and getting this started is really going to help drive your business and be important.
Alrighty, awesome, Joey. Thank you so much for giving us a good lay of the land there. Really practical overview of what to think about, how to start looking, and first steps or organizing your path towards implementing some of this. So yeah, thank you. Excellent. All right, now everyone, if you haven't already, I see some of you are responding, but there's a poll up there, and we're just asking you what your company's time frame is for adding new or updating your existing IT solutions. So take a minute there to answer the poll about the timeline. Is it, right away, next 6 months? This is pretty urgent for you. Is it something more on kind of a year timeline, a 2-year timeline? Or perhaps you're not sure. You're still kind of feeling it out, seeing what the options are, getting a better sense of what can be done, what lay of the land there is in terms of software and tools that can help you out. And then you're going to make some decisions going from there. Awesome. Well, thank you. So far, we've had a lot of questions, a lot of highs, hellos, a lot of responses here on the poll. So thank you for being so interactive today. And I do want to keep that good interaction going. So as we enter into the next presentation, feel free to ask any questions that come up or give your comments on what's being presented. It's always great to see and hear and feel that kind of energy going around with the community here today. And with that, today's EcoCast is short and sweet, but it is absolutely packed with valuable information. Next up on the docket here at the EcoCast is the team from Progress Move It. I'm thrilled to hear their perspective on today's topic and have the opportunity to hear from another expert in the field. It is my pleasure to welcome to the stage Tony Perry, Principal Sales Engineer at Progress. Tony, why don't you take it away and start the architecture of Move It?
Yeah, I just want to take a couple of minutes max and just kind of talk over this architecture, and then we're going to jump into a live demonstration. So what you're seeing here really represents the entire Move It managed file transfer solution. So there's a couple of core components. There's a gateway, a Move It transfer server, and Move It Automation. So the those first two components, Move It Gateway and Move It Transfer, those primarily deal with the MFT requirements to enable your external partners, vendors, etc., external third parties to connect into you in order to upload or download files. But what we really want to focus on today is Move It Automation. And as you might guess from its name, it's really focused around the automation of file-based workflows. So what this diagram is depicting is that Move It Automation is really able to connect to various servers, hosts, endpoints, be them inside on your secure network or out across the internet. So things like internal network shares, FTPS or SFTP servers, Move It Transfer if that is part of your deployment, and then out to the internet to like other vendors' SFTP sites or SharePoint Online or cloud storage like Azure Blob and AWS. So really it can connect to all those, and you'll see those in just a minute in the demo. And then by creating easy to configure tasks, your administrators are able to then define the automated movement of files. Pick up a file from here, deliver it to here, maybe send an email notification upon success or failure. So that's really the role of Move It Automation. And so, now we want to cover the how of MFT, and really what better way to cover the how than with an actual demo. So, these 6 points are some of the things that you will see now in the demo of Move It Automation. Going to touch on, defining those hosts or endpoints, how Move It Automation connects to them, how you create tasks, how you manage those tasks and schedule them, and then some on the the reporting that provides the visibility into your transfers, and then just touch briefly on a little bit of customization. Okay, so here we are at the admin interface for Move It Automation. So the start page when logging on is typically this dashboard, and this is really just to give you some high-level metrics on the number of successful and failed task runs that have occurred in the last 24 hours and the number of successful and failed file transfers in the last 24 hours, how many hosts and tasks are currently configured on the system, which will make more sense in a minute when we get into what is a host and what is a task. And then, some basic charts that give you some visibility into which of those hosts and which of those tasks are transferring the most data. So let's start with hosts, because typically until you've defined any hosts, you can't really do a whole lot other than maybe transfer files to or from the local file system. But obviously you're wanting to be able to transfer files to remote systems. And so here this particular system has 7 different hosts defined on it of some different types. And, for ease of administration, if you have 7, okay, but if you have, 50 or 100 hosts, it's really helpful to be able to filter. So you can just, select what types of hosts you want to show up in the list. Or there's also a handy search capability. So if you are trying to find a particular host, like a particular vendor or something, for example, you can just start typing and the list filters immediately. And so for adding hosts, you just right up over here, you can select what type you want to add and provide whatever information is needed for that connection. Let's just take a look at some of what you can configure on some of these different host types. So a network share, that's pretty straightforward. You're basically just going to define the name that you'll then be able to reference this host as from within your tasks that you configure, and really the UNC path to that share. That may be all you need. This use file notifications is really a handy feature. Essentially enables event-driven transfers so that You don't have to poll a file server, checking for files every minute, for example. Instead, tasks can kick off on an event-driven basis. And then also, I always recommend configuring some level of retries. Doesn't have to be a lot, but if there's an intermittent network hiccup or something goes bump with the file transfer, configuring Move It Automation to automatically retry that transfer multiple times before having to consider that file transfer a failure can help to smooth over some of those what otherwise would be a failure only because the network had a blip or something like that. So let's take a look then at, say, an SFTP server. So a little bit more information is required for that, but same thing. You basically provide a friendly name that you can use to reference, and if you want to put some information in the description that'll be helpful to your administrators, you can do so. Basically for SFTP, you're providing a host name, and you can adjust the port if you're using a port other than 22, and authenticate with username and password, or like in this case, we've set this connection up to use a client key. So for SFTP, that tends to be a more secure option for authentication. And then there's a handy test capability which allows you to test to make sure that Move It Automation is able to connect to that host when you're first setting it up, or even for troubleshooting capabilities. And you can see here some of the other types, and really the key takeaway here is that there's great consistency. Even something like an Azure blob, for example, you're able to just plug in that information, and then from this point forward, you don't necessarily need to be concerned with, oh, am I going out to an SFTP server, or am I going out to a SharePoint site, because that is all abstracted away from you when you're going to set up the tasks. So let's now take a look at the tasks. And here I'm looking at my task list. So this particular system has 4 tasks that have been set up. And once again, there's some different ways to filter over here on the left. Not that critical when you only have a handful of tasks, but if you have hundreds or thousands of them, the ability to, for example, pick up any of the tasks that maybe are going to a particular site, which I guess in this case, all of these are already going to that one, but or you can start typing again. I can just start typing any part of the name of a task, and it will filter. So then if we drill down in to a task, so this is one that is set up to, you can kind of guess by the name what it's going to do. It's basically to go out and pull files from a vendor's SFTP site. And so this is what's referred to as a traditional task. There's also advanced tasks and synchronization tasks. But what's great about the traditional tasks is that the steps are fixed. So you can have one or more sources for a task that tells where it's going to go grab files from. And then optionally, you can do processing of the files. We're going to get to that in just a little bit. And then your destination for where those files are going to go. So pretty much any traditional task you could go into and pretty instantly just look at it and discern what exactly that task is going to do when it runs. And then it'll have a one or more schedules associated with that task to automate running it. And then next actions can be used for sending, primarily for sending email notifications, like on success or failure. So like this task, if we drill down into the source step a little bit. Now what's great here is because you've already defined the connection, Move It Automation already knows how to connect to this host. So it can go browse out to that in real time. So when you're setting these tasks up, you're not having to guess at, do I need a trailing slash? Do I not need a trailing slash? You can just browse out and select that folder and even see the files that are out there. And then, you're able to specify the file masks. This one's right now downloading all files, but you could be downloading, let's say, you only want PDF and TXT files to be downloaded from this source. You can set your file mask there. And then also you can define what should happen after transfer. In this case, we're doing nothing, but you could also delete the files off the source or rename them on the source. What this task is actually doing is making use of a feature called collect only new files. Basically is useful when, say, you're trying to download files from a source that lets you download them but not delete them. This way you can go out and keep checking for new files, but only download files that are new. And so, the source step will download all those files, and then the destinations define where any of those files that have been downloaded should be saved to. And so this is showing a pretty common practice where maybe your tasks have multiple destinations. Like, this is one location for where the files are going to then be processed. And maybe you want to rename it just by prepending the file name with the current year, month, and day. And then, a second location could even use a different this one's using a date and timestamp prepended to the file name, sort of for an archive, just in case something happens to the one copy, you have an archive, and that's a pretty common practice with configuring these tasks in Move It automation. And then you can define your schedules right along with your task, not dependent on any external scheduler. So like this one's running Monday through Friday. Basically every 15 minutes from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now, something we could do here is if we know that this task is only going to be downloading files like one time a day, but you're not sure when, then this repeat only until first success option can be used. And that way, once this task runs and successfully downloads files, it will not continue to run then until the next schedule. And then, like I said, you can have some next action. So like here is just an example of, an email that would be sent to maybe a user if, there's a user that wants to be notified when a task runs successfully, and then maybe a different email if the task fails. So that's like a task that's going to go out and pull down files. And then if you're looking to do the opposite, it's really just the same thing, only in reverse. So I won't go through all of this again, but you can see here, this one's, taking files from internally and sending them out somewhere, and then, saving them back. So, you can see that creating and managing these tasks is all very straightforward and can mainly be done through the web browser. And while you can go in and create new tasks from scratch and select some of those different types I've talked about, sometimes the easiest thing to do is to take a task that already exists, that is working more or less like you need, and instead of recreating everything from scratch, you can clone it. Let's say that we want a task now that's going to go pull files from another vendor, and we'll just update this and add that task. And then you just go in here, change the host, select that this should be our vendor 2, SFTP, and you can see there's different files out there. So I won't go through the whole thing here, but just kind of wanted to show you that there's a lot of shortcuts that you can take really to to ease the management and the administration of the tasks. And then, of course, one of the main reasons for using a tool like Move It Automation is to provide better visibility into the transfers that are happening in your environment. And so here under reports, you have basically 3 different reports. You have task runs, which are going to show every time a task runs. So you'll have a record of every time a task runs, even if I look at these no transfers, it's a task that's running, but there's nothing to transfer. So it's still going to be logged, but typically you filter that out. And then for the file activity, what I find is normally the task itself, and then what you're wanting to do is drill down into that task run and view the file activity that way. So it makes it very easy to just do that. And then you can see here, these are the files that were downloaded, and then for each one, where the files were saved to. Once again, you have that search capability. So if you're just trying to find, if one file was transferred, you can search and find that. And then bringing up the details is, here's your full audit trail of everything that has transpired with that particular file. So a great level of detail, even for a specific file. And this is all being driven off of a tamper-evident audit log database. So you can, there's some certainty that these audit logs have not had any tampering with them. So the last thing we wanted to talk about was customizability, and really, you just saw that you could do quite a lot in Move It Automation without any customization, right? It's all just done through configuration. But let's say there's something sort of unique that maybe you need to do. Let's say that this new task that we created here is downloading like a CSV file, and it's using like a non-standard character. It's not using a comma for the delimiter, and you need to modify that. So one of the things you can do is you can add a process to a task. And so what a process does is it allows you to run any of the built-in or custom scripts that have, that either are included with Move It Automation or that you've added. So here's showing some of the built-in scripts. These are things that you can do without really needing to write any code or anything like that, like call a command line application or convert line feeds to carriage return line feeds, do a basic find or replace, PGP encryption and decryption, zipping and unzipping. So these are all very common actions and, are provided out of the box. But then Move It Automation also gives you the ability to create custom scripts in PowerShell. And so like that example I was just saying, where you need to, take a CSV file and just run through it and change the delimiter that's used. While that's not out of the box functionality, it's something that can be pretty easily done in PowerShell. And with Move It Automation's built-in support for PowerShell scripts, you can actually create and store this script right within Move It Automation's configuration, and then you would just add it to your task like so. We would add a process and say that we want to run this convert CSV delimiter, and if our task supports it, we could pass some things as parameters to make it a little bit dynamic. But there you go. That kind of shows just a touch of that customizability that Move It Automation supports. And then just along those lines, one last thing I want to cover is an advanced task, because sometimes you might need to do something that's a little bit more specific than go out to a source, download some files, and save them to a destination. And so the advanced task functionality in Move It Automation. What I just did there is I took an existing traditional task and I converted it, or I should say I copied it. I cloned it into an advanced task version. And so you can see now it takes on a little bit more of a, programming look and feel without dropping you into Notepad or anything like that. And this lets you do things like have conditional logic or reordering steps. Sometimes you just want to, maybe save a copy first before you run a script against it. I don't want to go into too much more depth on this, but at least wanted to, quickly cover that. And so, well, there you go. There's a quick demonstration of Move It Automation.
Awesome. Tony, thank you so much. That was really great to kind of see you work through that and walk through that. And we've got some really great questions that came in around some specifics of using Progress's Move It. We won't hold a live Q&A today, but if you've posed any questions, do not fret. They won't go unanswered. All of our questions will be passed on to the Move It Progress team, and they'll be reaching out to you with the information you are looking for. Additionally, I do want to point out that I have put up a poll question for you all. We'd love to get your feedback and any additional responses about you exploring and what you'd like to explore from Progress Move It. So if you're looking for any additional information, data sheets, white papers, case studies, pricing details, a personal demo, essentially this is your wish list, your easy button. You can just pop in what you're looking for there in the poll, and right after today, the Move It team is going to be able to follow up and make sure you get exactly what you need. Now, finally, I want to remind you to check out the Handouts tab where you can get a link to download the data sheet. It is Progress Move It features. What do you get with Progress Move It? So great overview there. It's just a PDF with a couple of pages. So really concise, really succinct. Definitely you're going to want to grab that and get a sense of all those features and how it could work in your organization. And this will definitely be a perfect way to follow up with the conversation we just had with Tony. Now, we've given away some great information today. We've got that great handout material, and now it is time to also give away a few prizes. We've got not one, not two, but three $300 Amazon gift cards to give away, and just a quick reminder that you must be present at today's webinar to win. So a little drum roll on your desks or countertops, please. And here are our lucky winners. The first gift card is going out to Sang Bai from California. Our second is going out to Genardas Janosis from Illinois. And the third and final is going out to Michael Ulrich from Georgia. Huge congratulations to all three of you. And as always, we will be in touch about claiming your prize after today's webinar. Now, if you are on today's webinar and you would like to get a little bit more information about sponsoring or presenting on a future summit, EcoCast, or MegaCast webinar, we would absolutely love to hear from you. And you can reach out via email at connect@actualtechmedia.com. And with that, on behalf of the Actual Media team, I want to thank all of our speakers, our keynoter there, as well as Tony from Progress Move It for making this EcoCast possible and for being here with us today. And I want to give a special thank you to all of you for attending and asking some great questions and giving all those highs, hellos, and shout outs to the community. I hope you had as much fun as I did talking about the power of data and how enabling automation can greatly improve our operational efficiencies. And I really hope you've all gotten some interesting ideas and tips and that you're leaving feeling lit up and ready to make some next steps. Sometimes it's hard to take time out of our busy days, our schedules to plan ahead, get some information, and think about the future. So thank you for doing that today. Now, if you did enjoy today's webinar, I highly encourage you to check out our expert series this Friday, which is tomorrow. This is a ransomware series exploring the tools and solutions that comprise a comprehensive ransomware strategy. This is at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And these expert series are great. They're kind of like a 45-minute to hour-long masterclass around the theme. So really great overview. Highly recommend you check that out. And with that, I believe that is everything. So I hope to see you all again on a webinar soon. And until then, I hope you have an absolutely magical rest of your day. Take care, everybody.